Hello and welcome to another video here on my YouTube channel on Faceless Guy. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that you feel good. It's weekend here in Germany. It's weekend when you watch it from somewhere else in the world. It's maybe some another day. But here it's weekend. It's Friday. The weekend is upcoming. So yeah, a new video today. And today I will react to the video from David, the Gravel Institute. It's a good channel. I subscribe right now for it. And also turn on the notification. Please do the same for my channel if you like. If you want to support me, it would mean a lot to me. So America is failing in some ways, probably, but also other countries are failing and have difficulties. And it's not. I don't make this video to make fun about America or the United States of America, to be precise. It's not anything like this. I know that Germany has a lot of difficulties themselves, and I also will talk about some of these difficulties in this video. Also about the healthcare here in Germany. It's not ideal. There are better countries, far better countries in Europe and in the world. It's, I think, better than the United States. It's easy to be better in the United States in this way, but it's not good. And here have a lot of changes have to be done. Also about racism, but yeah, it doesn't mean that the United States of America do not need to improve also in a lot of ways. So we will watch this video now. I will react to it. I will pause, of course, every time I say something. But yeah, let's just continue. Begin. It's not the first time reaction. I've seen it before. So. Yeah. There's in a moment something I have a question about you. I mean, the joke is obvious in this. America is bad at everything, and it continues to be bad at everything. Also, half an hour later, but at 7 o'clock. Red pageant. I don't know what this means. Maybe it's a reference to something Americans know about, but I don't know about what the joke is here. In this weird English. So if anyone knows, just explain it to me, please.
America is the greatest country on earth, the strongest, the richest, the most powerful country on earth. As an American, I'm sure you've heard that roughly 135 times a year. 235 if you go to public school.
Here in Germany, this narrative is not so often spread. I mean, we Germans, or at least some Germans, think that Germans are the best in the world. That Germans have to pay for everything in the world. That whatever happens in the world, we have always to pay it. Some people think this. Of course, they are stupid when they think this. But yeah, stupid people tend to also be very loud about the stupidity, and whether now on Twitter or somewhere else, idiots are very easily. If you are very convinced of something and you are not very smart, you will still tell everyone that what you think, and yeah. So the point is also here in Germany, we are not taught, of course not, that America is the greatest country in the world. We of course still think United States, I think kind of the harbor of democracy, and something like this. Some people say and think, especially compared to Russia, especially in the moment. But it's not that everyone thinks this. It's just that stupid people think this, at least without researching, or they will just research kind of newspapers which are well known for not always saying the truth, or just because they heard something on Twitter or so. I mean, I still think also in Germany, in a certain way, this narrative is also still known, kind of. I mean, we also are very proud on our own country. I mean, I'm not proud on my country, but many Germans are proud on their own country, although they have not really done something for this country in the most cases. But yeah.
335 if you go to a Christian academy. We're told that Americans have the best lives of any people in the world, that we have low taxes, small government, and the highest living standards on earth, and most inaccurately, that we're the freest.
I think all of these things, at least for Germany, they are not so much put into the heads of the children or other people. I mean, you don't read in German newspapers so often, hey, United States is a country with the highest living standard in the world. Maybe some people think this or even get told this, but not in a very right way, I think.
Well, it is partly true. America is the richest country, not just in the world, but in the history of the world. It's really hard to comprehend just how rich we are. We have 18 million people who are millionaires.
18 million who are millionaires. And some of them probably have also more than just 1 million. They should really, equally, I mean, it's not equality, of course. I think it should be more equal in the who has how much money, if there is at all money necessary. It's not fair, and something should be done, probably.
American households own about $100 trillion in wealth, an almost unthinkable amount of money. Okay, so America is the richest country ever. But there's a curious paradox. Most Americans actually have a much worse standard of living than people who live in poorer countries like Germany or Finland or Britain. But how can that be? That shouldn't make any sense. Well, here's the shitty deal. Americans get significantly worse services because our tax dollars don't fund them. So of course our services are worse, and thus we enjoy less happy lives than people who live in the aforementioned countries. Not that difficult a concept to conceive, really. You get what you pay for, said the cartoon dog to the other cartoon dog.
I've also, if there's a reference to a comic or anything like this, of course I don't know about this, but also in Germany, of course, wealth is very much just in the hand of a very small group of people. So I think the richest Germans have around 60% of the wealth. So I mean, the richest 10% of the population have 60% of the wealth, something like this. I don't have the statistics right here. Maybe I will have a picture here in the video, but I have heard something like this, and it's not surprisingly. It's probably in many capitalistic countries this way.
And while you might think the reason American tax dollars don't fund as many services is because we pay lower taxes than other countries, that's not even true. When you add federal, state, local, and sales taxes and include other costs and services that our taxes don't cover but other countries' taxes do, like our uniquely high health insurance premiums, you'll find that Americans actually give away more of their wages than most of the developed world. For example, in Canada, for a married worker with 2 kids, all of the previously mentioned costs combined, from taxes to health insurance premiums, make...
By the way, I think what he is about to mention for Germany, if you include in Germany things like taxes and I mean, it is I think around 20% for the insurance if you lose a job, the insurance you have the health insurance in Germany, the insurance for the age when you are too old and can't work anymore, and the insurance for if you have an accident also at the workplace. And so I think all these insurances together make around at least to a certain level. So I think there's a limit. There's a limit of I think 5,000 or 6,000 euros which you can earn each month. And when you earn more, you don't have to pay more taxes. It's also unfair. I wanted to mention this also in this video. I had even a note, a little paper here telling me this. In German it is called Beitrittsbemessungsgrenze, and it means that to this limit you have to pay around 20% of your salary. So I earn 1,000 euros a month, and I have to pay 200 euros. It's not a tax. It's not really called taxes in Germany. This kind of taxes, I don't know a better English word, but this money, 200 euros or so, 20% would go away, and I think you don't pay any taxes up to be under a earning of 900 euro a month. So 900 euro a month you can earn without paying taxes, and above this you have to pay taxes. The taxes are additionally, the thing I was talking about is something else. Everyone has to pay this except some certain jobs, certain people who have certain professions or jobs don't have to pay, and politicians and other people also not. But from the people who pay into the system, they have to pay around 20% together, all of those insurances I mentioned, until at a certain level. And when you earn then more, so someone who earns 6,000 a month pays exactly as much money into the system as someone who earns 20,000 euro a month. It's of course unfair, and I think this is one of the big reasons why so many difficulties also exist in Germany about the welfare state. So just to mention this.
Up only 11% of the average wage. In the UK, it's just about 26%. Meanwhile, once you tack on the cost of our outlandish health insurance premiums, you're spending a whopping 43% of your paycheck. That's more than...
In Canada, this looks of course nice. 11% only of the average wage. I don't know how much it would be this in Germany, but yeah.
France, Finland, Sweden, and Norway. In real reality, Americans keep much less of what we own than in other countries. In other countries, their government takes a bit more tax, but then gives that money back to their citizens in the form of healthcare or job support, or a general safety net for all vulnerable citizens.
And in this category, we have of course something like this in Germany. I mean, under normal circumstances, you will in Germany never lose everything. So I mean, they will make you. I mean, they will take everything from you. What gives you possibility to be independent in some ways, but you will survive. They will not cut you off of everything. As far as I know, and I have lived here my whole life, and I have also learned a lot of this. It's called Hartz IV. It's I mean, it's basically something like you have to kind of give all your data. You have everything to a certain office. How to say this? Agency, and they, I mean, the state will give you money each month, and but there's also something which really annoys me about this. So this agency has also a possibility to cut the money away of you if you don't kind of do really try to get the job, if you don't if you miss an appointment or any things like this. It's called in German that I'm sorry for my speaking. It's free sometimes. And even the Constitutional Court of Germany has said that there's a certain amount of money which is basically necessary for living, and still this agency has a possibility to cut the money away of the people who, for example, miss an appointment or don't really try to get a job, or I don't know, other things. And this is also something I think is basically wrong, of course, because if the Constitutional Court said that this amount of money is basically necessary for living for each month, then they should not be able to cut this money also away of you, no matter what you are doing, because it's just unfair. But that's something else. Okay, let's continue.
Citizens, no matter how dusky they are. So what do Americans get for the money we pay in? Well, sure, we get a crumbling infrastructure, shameful homelessness, and millions of hungry, neglected children, but we also get some of the worst services in the developed world. Again, our healthcare. American healthcare is simultaneously the most expensive, the least efficient, and the least effective healthcare system in the developed world. Hey, the devil's trifecta. And in exchange,
I think our German healthcare system is more or less efficient and covers also the biggest part of the population, because, I mean, basically, if you can't pay your own, I mean, you have to, if you have to be insured, so you have to be by law insured, so you can't just choose, no, I don't want to be insured, I risk getting sick. So either you are publicly insured through the public healthcare system, where you also have to pay in if you don't earn too little. I mean, people who don't earn enough also don't need to pay in the system. So, but if you are able to pay into the system, then you have to pay into the system, and if you don't want to be publicly insured, you have to be privately insured. So you have to be insured, but no matter what you're doing. So, or you make yourself, it's a crime to not be insured. So then you have to pay kind of punishments. So different here. I mean, different from here to United States.
for this extremely expensive, inefficient healthcare system, what do we get? Well, we get some of the worst health outcomes in the developed world. We have fewer hospital beds per capita than people in Turkey or Brunei. Americans have a lower life expectancy than people in Lebanon or Cuba. And in the Mississippi Delta and much of Appalachia, life expectancy is lower than in Bangladesh. In fact, in 2017, the United Nations sent a commissioner to West Virginia to document what he saw, and he described, quote, third world conditions of absolute poverty, unquote. We even have a higher infant mortality rate than people in Russia and Serbia.
That's also something I was a bit wondering about, why they, I mean, I watched other reactions from mostly Americans who react to this video, and they always, when it was here, it came to this point, at least some of them were surprised that in Russia the infant mortality rate is lower than the United States. I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's just something between Russia and the United States. I'm not surprised by this. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
In every single metric, America does worse across the board. So why is healthcare so expensive? Because it's so complicated. You have to look for in-network physicians, schedule an established care appointment, beg for coverage from your insurance company that couldn't care less about you, and that's if you're lucky enough to have good insurance. Compare that to Britain and all of those other evil, socialist-like countries where it's simple.
I wish it would be socialist-like. Very, very much I would wish so.
Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it. That's it. I'll repeat that. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it.
That is something which is really awesome. I would love it would be the same here in Germany as in Great Britain. And I heard that some of the things in Great Britain also don't run perfectly, but this kind of idea, the thinking, this how people look at the healthcare system, it's fantastic. And if it is really the case like this, then it's awesome.
And here's the best part. Even though Britain offers healthcare for free, their system is actually a lot cheaper to run than ours. Per capita healthcare spending in the US is almost 3 times what it is in Britain, and almost 5 times what Canadians spend. In fact, Americans spend the most per person of any country in the world for healthcare. But the free market is more efficient, you scream.
I think it's something like 13 or 14% of the GDP what the United States spends per year for the healthcare system. I'm not exactly sure what is the number, but it is around this, I think.
But in America, private systems often aren't efficient at all. Private drug companies have an incentive to charge whatever they can get away with for pharmaceuticals. In Canada, a carton of insulin costs about $20. In the US, it costs $300. And with private insurance companies,
I don't know what it is in Germany. I don't even know what insulin really is. I could research, but it doesn't matter, I think, because the comparison between the United States and Canada is already shown what this means, that the United States, as far as I know, this pharma industry can charge whatever they want for any medicine, And here in Germany, it's also kind of a controlled by the government. I don't know if it is really controlled by the government, but the government has an influence on the prices.
Footing the bill, hospitals have an incentive to get as much money out of patients as possible too. In 2015, the average cost of an MRI scan in the US was $1,119, but it was only $215 in Australia. Spain, about $181. And our healthcare system is so inefficient that we spend over a third of our cost on administration. The United States spends significantly more on administration than we spend on preventative or long-term healthcare. That's just not smart. Okay, we get it. We all know that American healthcare is so much more expensive, you say, but that's the cost of having the freest freedom in God's favorite country. Well, guess what? Medical procedures that are
God favors country. I mean, I don't believe in God, but it just sounds very arrogant. I mean, if there would be a God, I hope he would love all the countries the same way. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to offend anyone who believes in God, really. It's just my own personal opinion. But yeah, it sounds very arrogant.
Totally free in Britain, like giving birth, costs tens of thousands of dollars in the United States. I mean, you want to talk.
And the good thing here in Germany, I mean, for me personally, I have never paid anything when I was at the doctor. Anyway, not a cent. And I mean, I pay through. I mean, now that I also work myself earlier, just my parents. But I pay every month around, I don't know, maybe 120, 130 euro into the system. It's not. I mean, the money I get, it already is minused, so I don't have any influence on this. But it's good. I think it's good. I support this. I would even do it freely. When I would get the money myself, I would also spend or transfer the money which is necessary or which is required from me into the system, because it is a good thing. Because I also wanted when I go to the doctor, I don't want to pay anything. And I also wanted other people don't have to pay anything, because if there's something seriously, they should be treated. And it should not be long and complicated. They should just be treated the best way possible. And I am happy that I could spend some money for this, because it's important.
Talk about the cost of freedom. Sadly, because of these high costs, Americans often avoid going to the doctor, something almost half the population say they do. With shoddy or non-existent health insurance, Americans will wait until their conditions force them into the emergency room, where treatment is far more expensive. Again, not a smart system. Quite often, they end up putting off medical visits and dying. Susan Finley, a 53-year-old Walmart employee in Colorado, got pneumonia and took one day off of work beyond what Walmart's policy allows. So of course, Walmart's gonna Walmart, which they did by firing her. Without her job, she lost her
Of course, also something like this would never be able to happen here in Germany. I mean, there are laws which secure employee situations, and if you are sick, you don't need sick days. You are just sick, you stay at home until you are not sick anymore. Then, of course, you have to prove, and if you are get sick for a long time, then the government will also pay, I think it's 60% of your salary, which is then called sick money, or some in Germany, Krankengeld, which is then there to support you, to help you survive. So no employee would be fired because she would be sick. So different in Germany. We have also our own difficulties, but that's different.
Terminal health care coverage, she struggled to find new work, and after avoiding a visit to the doctor for flu-like symptoms, she was found dead in her apartment. When Americans do manage to get treated, they frequently can't afford it. Simple, life-saving treatments can cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if they don't have really good insurance, they're forced to take on medical debt. Tens of millions of Americans owe medical debt, often into the tens of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, in a country like Britain or Norway, medical debt is almost unheard of.
Also here in Germany, of course. I mean, I've never heard the term in German, a similar term to medical debt.
But hey, that's why GoFundMe is such a critical component of American healthcare. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills.
By the way, when I first watched this video, or one of the first times I watched it, I checked this even. I loaded GoFundMe with an American VPN, so with this computer in the United States, and yeah, a lot of the things which appear were healthcare stuff.
I'll repeat that. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills. America is such a strong, powerful, rich, and great country that its citizens have to beg strangers on the internet for money so they can get life-saving treatments that are free in the rest of the developed world. But hey, that's just healthcare. Americans get terrible deals wherever you look. Let's take work, for example. Americans work longer hours than people in any other rich country in the world, and that's not because they enjoy sleep deprivation and not seeing their...
I think the average working time here in Germany is 40 hours a week, on 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, because the weekend is free. In most cases, I mean, some jobs have also have to work on the weekend, but they get normally then a day off another day.
Families for days at a time. It's because they don't want...
There's also a law in Germany which prevents, which says that your employee needs, I think it's around 10 hours resting time, or 11 hours resting time between the end of the work of the one day and the start of the work on the other day. So you can't just let your people work until midnight and then get them out of the bed at 6 o'clock again here in Germany. And yeah,
to starve or freeze or die. See, America has the least generous job support programs, the least generous family benefits, and the least generous unemployment benefits of any wealthy country. It's one of the only countries on earth that doesn't guarantee paid time off for vacations. It doesn't...
Just to make this also clear, in Germany, I have 20 days off a year. I can choose these holidays whenever I want, and other employees have up to 30 days off. It of course depends a bit on your job, but there's a minimum amount of days off. You have someone who have employees have to offer to them as kind of a law. Also, of course, paid parental leave and yeah, he will mention this also.
Even help provide paid time off for parents who just had a child.
I don't know how much it is exactly here, but it is definitive 3 months before the mother gets the child, and or 1 month before and 3 months after. I'm not exactly sure, but there is definitive amount of time before the child gets born where the employee have to be free of work, and I mean not fired. I mean it's just like a break of work, but still paid, of course, full paid. And I think it's 3 months after, and then also parent time. You can ask for this, and under certain conditions, they also have to give it to you. So I think that's also better than in the United States. Of course, there are other countries which make it even better than in Germany, and I want to bash America. Yeah.
And it's not coincidental that we're also one of the most hostile countries to workers' rights. America has one of the lowest unionization rates in the entire world. Maybe this deprivation, our refusal to give people the means to lead a good, dignified life commensurate with how rich our country is, can explain a bit of what we've seen in the United States over the last few decades. Fraying communities, rising rates of depression and suicide, huge numbers of deaths from drug overdoses. These so-called deaths of despair, suicide, drug overdoses, alcoholic liver disease, they're one big reason why American life expectancy has actually started to decline over the last few years. And with such poor conditions, it's not a surprise that poverty is so rampant in the United States. America devotes a smaller percentage of spending on social welfare than any other industrialized economy because, say it with me,
Socialism is evil.
Socialism is evil. It's evil. Go to Denmark and try telling those...
Denmark is not a socialist country, but maybe compared to the United States of America, it is even communism. I mean, compared to them,
happy, healthy families enjoying their paid vacation, that their system of government is evil. Guess what? I guarantee they'll know you're an American. But I digress. America also has the highest rate of child poverty of any developed country, and the highest percentage of workers earning significantly less than the national median income. That seems pretty evil to me, especially since such a tiny fraction take as much of your money for themselves and their families as you will let them. All the while, both parties smile and shake hands.
But that's also something that we in Germany have. I mean, we have more than 2 parties which have influence on the politics, but also all parties don't really care so much about the normal people. They have, of course, all their clientele, they have all the kind of group, they always, I mean, certain people always vote for the same parties, and other groups choose it randomly before the election or so, but the politicians really only then care really much about the people when it is, I mean, half a year before election, so, otherwise they don't really try to solve big problems which are known, but that's also, I think, similar, except, of course, we have more parties than Americans, but the parties which have a chance to really change something have often, in an economical way, similar beliefs. I mean, they all believe in the almighty capitalism.
Across every single metric, no people accept a worse deal than Americans today. High taxes, high cost of living for next to nothing in return from the government. The most expensive healthcare system for the worst health outcomes. More money taken from workers for the highest rate of child poverty. We are the richest country in the history of the world, but we have fewer miles of high-speed rail than Uzbekistan. We are the greatest country in the world, yet we have the most people in prison of any country, and the highest incarceration.
I think up to 2 million in the United States, and this is kind of 20% or of the entire world's incarcerated people, so yeah.
Rate as well, and a higher rate of police killings than in Angola and Sudan. America is bad at everything because instead of choosing to make life better for people through a public healthcare system or more generous childcare policies or better public transit or programs that allow people to spend more time with their families, American law is designed and crafted to protect a class of parasitical middleman industries. Instead of using a proportionally tiny piece of the massive amount of the wealth in this country to make people's lives healthier and happier, most of our elected leaders are, and have been for generations, engaged in a massive project of looting, gently and lovingly guiding as much money as possible from working people into the pockets of the...
Of course, this is also something which happens in Germany. I mean, about the corona pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and then people who got good deals with masks, they then bought cheap from China and other Asian countries and then sold it here to a higher price or get a very big premium for arranging and trade. These kind of things, corrupt politicians, we also have here in Germany.
Well-connected and the ultra-rich. Think about that as we start hearing about the inevitable rise in homelessness, poverty, starvation, and sickness that will occur during these coming months and years in the greatest, strongest, richest, most powerful country on the face of the earth. I'm David Cross for the Gravel Institute.
Yeah, they make really good videos, the Gravel Institute. I will also maybe react to other videos. I have a few in mind which I also like, and what means like I think they are good made and the content is interesting. Of course, sometimes it's also about content which is not to like maybe, but it's interesting. In any way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for my channel. It would really help me, and give the video a like and so on. I have many plans for the future for my channel, and I think it's a good one, and I think you will also not regret subscribing. Not if you are left, not if you are for peace and equality and like other countries, and also maybe like some gaming. I would also maybe make some gaming on this channel. I don't know what games, so I mean probably games which I also liked. But if you have any suggestions what I could do, what I might like with this kind of background of being left, maybe even far left, but also for peace. And I don't, then recommend something to me. I like also role plays, RPGs for gaming. So yeah, I hope you had a nice time, and I hope we will see each other again in the next video. I will also recommend you guys to watch more videos from the Grave Institute. I also will link another video into the description, and we see each other next time again. See you.